Okay, so we're live. Good evening. Good evening, and welcome to this Thursday night edition of From the Nosebleeds. Yes, I understand it's 11:40 at night. Great thing about that is I go back on nights tomorrow, so I got to stay up a little later tonight to, you know, be able to sleep tomorrow before I go in. So, you know, purpose of tonight's episode is just to get online and share a few things with you guys and ask how y'all are doing, ask how everybody's handling this situation that we're in right now. So, as you can see the banner, I hope everyone is warm tonight. I hope everybody got power. I know the water situation is what it is. Um, a lot of people with busted pipes, a lot of people with leaks. Hopefully, all of that gets resolved in the next couple of days and everything's good to go. So, hopefully, it all works out for everybody to where we can get back to some kind of normal, whatever that normal is now, because normal has changed, right? We can all agree that normal isn't what normal was even 18 months ago, 24 months ago. Normal is a different normal now. But hopefully everybody's warm, everybody feels safe, everybody feels secure. Hopefully everybody has full bellies. And I mean, at this time, 11:40 on a Thursday night, hopefully people are in bed. If you're not and you're up watching, I appreciate it. Hello, how are y'all? Um, we just went through something that I don't know the I don't know the data on it, but I'm pretty sure in my 43 years of living, Texas has never been as cold as Alaska. I'm just going to throw that out there. Um, so this was obviously an event that that wasn't that nobody could, you know, nobody could predict. I mean, sure, weathermen do their job and meteorologists and things like that. They do their job and they predict the forecast over the last 7 days. And when I saw snow and 20s last week on the 7-day predicted forecast, I just kind of said, wow, I wonder if it's really going to happen because we're in Texas. I mean, especially here, I live in the Pearland area, which is about 20 minutes south of downtown Houston. What's up, Mike? He said his belly is definitely full. um, but you never know down here. I mean, you never know because we're so big and we're so spread out. And, a forecast that they're running in the meteorology station is downtown. And even that 20-mile that 20-mile gap from where I'm at to where all of their equipment is, that can make a difference here in Texas. It could be, they could say it's 80% chance of rain today. And do they include the 3-minute sprinkle here in Pearland as part of that 80% chance of rain? Or, so you go into it and you see it on the forecast and you're like, man, could this really happen? Could this really go down this way? Could it really get this cold? Could it really get this cold? Like one day it said the low was going to be 12 degrees. 12 degrees. Like I can't even when I saw that, I spent a good 20, 30 minutes trying to even consider what being outside in 12-degree weather is like. I couldn't believe it. And me living here all my life and understanding Texas weather, I had a thought of there's just no way it gets down to 12 degrees. There's no way. I had a tough time believing it. And I said, but it could happen. I mean, it could happen. We've seen stranger things happen weather-wise here in our area over the last decade. Um, so took notice, prepared in a way that I didn't really announce that I was preparing for a winter lockdown, a freeze lockdown. We just picked up extra items at the grocery store. Um, we filled up on our vehicles this past weekend on Sunday. Made sure we had full tanks of gas. I got out and I wrapped all of my pipes again. They were already wrapped once. I went ahead and put a second coat on them simply because it said it was getting down to 12 degrees. So I went ahead and took that step and just rewrapped everything with the old wrap still on, hoping that a double wrap would do the trick. Uh, I prepared my pool and the pump and the filter housing for a possible 12-degree day. Um, and so far, thank God above that everything has worked out so far. I knock on wood because I know tonight it's going to get back down into the 20s again. Um, but as a Texan and as a lifelong Houstonian, it's still hard for me to believe what we experienced the past 4 days. To the temperatures getting as low as they were, to the amount of ice, the amount of snow here in Texas and surrounding areas, and the fact that everything went haywire. Everything went haywire. The only difference between what happened here in Harvey and what happened now is it's ice instead of water, obviously. But we were out of power. I was here at my home out of power for 40 hours. And luckily, I have gas in my home. I have a gas fireplace. I have a gas stove. Um, Luckily for us, we were able to cook. We were able to stay somewhat warm here in the house because of the fireplace. And we had water. We had no power, but we had water. The water pressure was good. The water heaters were keeping up. We were taking hot showers to warm up. Things were not bad in my household. And I know that wasn't the case for many in the area and across the state. We're just extremely blessed that this week has gone the way that it went. When we did get power, um, we lost water. We lost water pressure. We lost, you know, we lost the ability to take that warm shower. Um, so I don't know. I asked myself, would I rather be clean and cold, or would I rather be stinky and warm? And I think the conclusion I came up with was I had a healthy supply of deodorant. We all did here in the house. You can apply deodorant as many times as you need to lessen the stink, but be warm. I think that would be my choice. Be a tad bit stinky, but still be warm. And we don't have infants in the house. We don't have toddlers in the house, so there's no baby wipes here. I never would have thought to pick up baby wipes in a potential freeze situation, even though it makes a whole lot of sense. Um, that's one thing we were lacking. We weren't able to. And even then, I take that back. Even then, our water pressure was so low, but there was just enough water for us to take one shower each over a 2-day span. So, I mean, it really wasn't that bad here. It wasn't that bad. But again, I prepared, uh, we prepared here in this house as if something like this could happen. It was in all honesty, we've kind of taken that preparedness, and you can almost, I mean, I'm proud to say that we've gotten in the habit of maybe overbuying a little bit. And so I can say that we're always prepared for whatever comes. Now, we weren't prepared for like a 2-week freeze lockdown, but a 2, 3, 4 day, situation where we had to go without power. Now we're having to go without water. I think, we did really well here in preparing. And what was crazy in the situation we were in, and being as blessed as we were with how things went, we ran out of bacon. We ran out of bacon. It's the only thing we ran out of. Bacon and eggs, actually. Ran out of bacon and eggs. We're a big breakfast family. So every day we eat breakfast. So the eggs and the bacon don't last long around here. So I went out yesterday, which was it was a beautiful day. I mean, the sun was out. Um, and if I could have 37-degree days like yesterday, I would not mind them at all. I mean, the sun was out, it was shining, the sky was beautiful, the air was extra crisp, it was very clear. It was just a remarkable day yesterday. And I said, well, the weather's fine. The streets don't look like they have any ice on them. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna roll to the store and pick some eggs and bacon. And I was blown away, blown away by the number of people in line to get into certain stores. And I could not believe that even our local meat market, which is normally my go-to for stuff like just bacon and eggs, right? Because they have freshly sliced bacon and they sell eggs there as well. So bacon and eggs, easy trip right down the street. Go to the meat market, maybe even have a compulsive buy and get a pound of fajitas or something. But when I drove up, I mean the line just to get in to the store, and they did a wonderful job controlling how many people are in the store. They only have two cash registers at the meat market I go to, so they can only check out two people at a time. But they did a really tremendous job in how they did that. I was really impressed with how they did that. Um, I'm not going to tell y'all where it's at because I'm not giving away my secret spot. But so when I drove up, I saw the line. I said, "Wow, that's a really long line. Let me go over here to this store and see if maybe this store is open." Well, it was open. There was people in line, but the line was much shorter, and it was a big grocery store. So I got out, and as I'm walking up, all of a sudden everybody starts turning and walking back to their car, and I'm like, "Where's everybody going?" For some reason, this store had to shut its doors. In the middle of the day with a line of people waiting to get in to buy groceries or whatever they needed, this store had to close its doors for whatever reason. I never got a reason. I didn't stick around and ask or anything like that. I said, well, I guess they're closed. I got back in my truck and I said, well, let me go over here to this other store. So I went to another store. I went to four stores total yesterday. And the amount of people waiting to get into these stores, I mean, it really I was amazed. I was amazed because it's Wednesday, right? Really we couldn't leave our homes really until after Monday night, really Tuesday morning, right? And I couldn't understand how so many people like HEB got cleaned out, and it made me wonder if maybe people took the approach that I took in that, well, this is Texas. What are the chances it's going to get that low? It's going to get that cold. What if, what if it gets down to 12 for an hour and then, 2.5 hours later, it's back in the 40s and things are normal? I could see a lot of people taking that approach. I could see a lot of people taking that approach. And I could also see a lot of people feeling like there was no need to prepare because there wasn't a hurricane, you know, coming at us from the Gulf. There wasn't a big storm that we could see on a radar with an eye and making this big circle and maybe the community I'm in at least slept on this storm. Maybe. I don't know because I was really shocked at not only the amount of people that were at these stores, but I was really shocked at the amount of food people were leaving with. Right? I'm not talking like one or two items. I'm talking like baskets full of food. And I was just curious and I was just wondering, you can comment, let me know how you guys did. How well were y'all prepared? Did y'all prepare? Um, if y'all did prepare, how did the preparations last throughout this past week and everything? But it just blew my mind, man. It just blew my mind how, and I understand the stores were closed Monday and Tuesday. I guess they closed early Monday. They were probably closed all day Tuesday. I know they didn't have power around here probably till Wednesday afternoon, so that's probably a reason why they weren't open Wednesday morning. But when they restored power and things started opening back up, I couldn't believe the amount of people in line to get into the stores. I don't understand it because I just feel like I don't know. Is it weird to think that people shop on the weekends like we do? I mean, normally, right? Saturday and Sunday are normally shopping days, I guess, for groceries. I'm not sure, but anyway, just a couple of thoughts on how all that went down. And tonight's supposed to get real cold and supposed to be the last night. Then we're warming back up in the weekend, and hopefully, like I said, hopefully things with the electricity and with the water, hopefully they get back to normal sooner than later, right? I mean, let's hope that everything kind of gets back to normal sooner than later. So, I'm seeing a lot of people on Facebooks and some of the groups I'm in, a lot of people on Twitter talking about and asking for recommendations for obviously plumbers, right? There's been people asking about HVAC individuals who may even come look at a furnace or whatever, but the majority of what I'm seeing is people looking for plumbers. Well, what we have to understand is there's a lot of people looking for a lot of things right now. And one of the main things people are looking for are plumbers, right? And I think I need to speak on this because I've seen it a lot today on Facebook, especially recommendations for someone to come clean out a falling ceiling and repair a pipe, right? And that I find that funny because I read the question on Facebook. I read asking for recommendations for cleaning out a fallen ceiling and repairing a pipe. And I can't help but picture, and maybe it's, I don't know, maybe it's just me and how I think, but I can't help but trying to picture that situation where there's sheetrock all over the floor and maybe some water, things are wet, and people are standing there going, well, we need to find somebody to come clean this up. We need to find somebody to take care of this, right? Um, Here's a little piece of advice, and I have family in HVAC and I have family in plumbing. Um, and I'll just say it now: Al's Plumbing in Pearland, they're going to be backlogged because they do such great work and they're such great people. That's who I would recommend to anyone asking. Al's Plumbing, Big Al's Plumbing, right here in Pearland. Give AJ and Al a call; they'll come out, and they've done work for me, and it's been amazing, fantastic, timely, clean, professional. Very, very reasonable, very competitive on their prices. I can't say enough about those guys over at Alice Plumbing. Anyway, I'm going to ask a favor of everybody in need of help with plumbing with sheetrock, and I'm not in any of those businesses. I'm an operator, right? I don't make any, like, when I need it, I have to call a plumber. I have to call a handyman. I have to call somebody to come and repair because I don't do any of that stuff. But what I can do, and what I hope many out there looking for plumbers are doing themselves, is taking it upon themselves. You don't need a plumber in your home to clean up that mess. You don't. If your pipe's busted, your water shut off, you've stopped the leak yourself, awesome. Congratulations. Good job. Way to act fast. What you can do to assist in these plumbers and these people is understand that they are inundated. Is that a word? They're getting a ton of calls right now for repairs, I mean, you name it. You're in this situation. Now imagine, you know, 100,000 other people needing the same thing, right? Which understandably so. If you don't know how to repair a leak, please, I mean, in your home, obviously you want a professional to come out and do that. It's completely understandable. But do them a favor, help them out. If you can clean the mess up yourself, if you can dry up most of the water that's leaked out into your home, go ahead and do that. All it takes is a trash bag, maybe some gardening gloves. Help them out. That way, when they come in to assess the damage, when they come in, first of all, take pictures of everything for insurance purposes, right? Take pictures before you touch anything. Take your pictures, take your photos, take your videos for insurance purposes, okay? But then after that, try to get a head start for your plumber coming in to do your job. Just clean it up. It's all it is trash at that point. Soaked sheetrock, maybe some insulation fell in. You got some water to mop up, to dry up. Do those guys a favor and start getting that stuff cleaned up, because if they come into an environment in a job that is already cleaned somewhat, and they're not having to work around or clean it up or whatever the case may be, they can walk in, they can assess what needs to be fixed, they can jump on it, they can fix it, and they can move to the next person. And I'm not saying they're going to rush through a job. I'm not saying, you know, they're going to try to get to as many people as possible because it's more money in their pocket. No. I know the guy, like I said, AJ and Al, they're going to go in, they're going to fix what needs to be fixed. They're going to do what needs to be done, but I'm pretty sure they're going to try to do it in a timely manner so that they can move on to the next person that needs the help. Right? And that's important. And what we can do is we can take a little bit upon ourselves to clean up that mess, get as much of it clean as we can before our guys get out there, before, your HVAC guy comes out to look at your furnace, or, the plumber comes out to look at your pipe, or, whatever the case may be. But like I said, I'm seeing a lot of people requesting recommendations to have somebody come out and clean up, a fallen ceiling, or something. And like I said, maybe it's just the times that we live in. And I'm slowly being trained to think this way. But I just picture some people just standing there on the phone, like, yeah, I mean, can you come out and give me a quote on how much it is to clean all this stuff up, along with repair a pipe, and it's, to me, I just think, I just want to put the word out there that it's going to help everybody. It's going to make the situation better if you put a pair of gloves on, get a trash bag, and try to clean up as much as much of the mess as you can before they actually get there to do the job. I mean, I don't think that's asking too much. I don't think it's unfair to ask, especially in a situation where plumbers are going to need to be everywhere all at once to help everybody get back online, everybody help get watered, everybody, you know, let's help them help us, is what I'm trying to say. And then, if that makes me a bad guy, if I sound like a jerk because I feel like I need to pass on to a certain amount of people that, hey, you can clean this up yourself while these guys, before these guys come in to do their job. Plus, it makes it safer for the plumbers. We got to think about their safety as well. They're definitely thinking about yours. Let's return the favor and let's think about their safety a little bit. Let's think about what they're going to walk into, because I guarantee you, if they walk in to a home that looks like it's been cleaned up and cleared out, and they get to go straight to the job to take a look at it and do the work, I'm pretty sure a happy plumber is better than a pissed off plumber, I guess. I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know. And so news of the day. So Ted Cruz went to Cancun, flew his daughters down to Cancun to get away from the freezing temperatures and the ice and the snow. You know, Teddy wanted to build a couple of sand castles, maybe catch a wave on a boogie board. Look, I'll tell you straight up, had I known it was going to go this way, I would have cut my water off, drained all my lines, still wrapped up my pipes, and found a babysitter for the dogs, and I would have flew myself and my family down to Cancun as well, because no one wanted to be in this. Nobody really wanted to be in this. And if you had a choice and you had the resources to pack up and leave for the week to avoid this, you probably would have. We all would have. Now, was it the right thing to do? Absolutely not. It was not the right thing to do. And I'm seeing a lot of people ask the question, well, what could Ted Cruz have done if he was here? I don't know. I'm not a smart enough guy to answer that question. I don't work in Washington, D.C. I don't work in the state capitol. I'm not a senator. I've never been in politics. I've never even worked. The only time I worked in government was when I was in the Air Force. That's it. So I don't know how to answer that question, but I think it's I think it's I think it's fair to say common sense tells you he needed to not go. It was a bad time for him to go. And now, granted, he got his daughters there, and he jumped on a plane, he flew right back, and he's here now. Whether that's because of the backlash received because he left or whatever. But he's here now, so hopefully Ted Cruz, who doesn't have enough backbone to defend his wife against, you know, a guy who talked bad about his wife, didn't even really put up a fight. I mean, didn't even really attempt to defend the honor of his wife in that time. What do you expect? What do we expect with Ted Cruz? This isn't surprising. I wasn't surprised that he left and went to Cancun. Um, I'm surprised he came back though. I honestly thought he was going to stay down there and just enjoy it, kind of like when we were kids and we got in trouble and we knew our parents knew what we did was wrong. So instead of going home, we were going to ride our bike a little bit more. We were going to go play with our friends a little bit more because we knew when we got home, chances were we weren't going to get to do those things after we had to confront our parents about whatever it was we did wrong. So I am a little surprised he came back. But um, I'm also a little bit surprised that we haven't had a visit from the president. And I understand a lot of people made a lot of good points on Twitter when talking about this. Why do you want the president to come down? Who's going to pull resources? Then you have to have a game plan for when he's here for protection. And it's just a whole big ordeal for a president to travel and to go visit things like this and that and this and that. But, I don't watch the news. I watch local, but I don't watch national news. I don't watch, the big news conglomerates and those networks. Um, so I don't know. I'm misinformed. Maybe somebody can inform me on this. Has President Biden held a press conference about what's going on in the Gulf Coast region as far as this winter storm goes? I don't know. Somebody inform me because like I said, I don't watch that. I don't watch it, but I haven't seen anything posted on Twitter and I haven't seen anything posted on Facebook that says, yes, indeed, he did have a press conference of some kind. But now I did read earlier that he did sign a declaration of a disaster or whatever that is, and he's sending aid to Texas in forms of generator, diesel powers, money, obviously funding, things like that. So hopefully all of that gets, and maybe that's why Ted Cruz needed to stay to receive that or whatever. I don't know how that works, whatever. But I thought to myself today, reading the anger over Ted Cruz and him going to Cancun. I thought it was funny because it's got to a point now in society when it comes to politics to where both sides of the political deal are waiting for a misstep from the other side, right? So red is looking at blue. Um, you know, no, red is looking at blue, blue's looking at red. Um, and both are trying to figure out a way to blame the other for whatever reason. And as a guy who has never been in politics, I've never really involved myself in politics. I've never really taken part, and I don't claim to be a Democrat. I don't claim to be a Republican. I don't even know where I would classify as in the party. Like I don't know. Like I got into it with a guy during the election period, and he called me a Republican. Of course, he was a Democrat, and I was a piece of shit Republican, blah, blah, blah. Then I had a lady, same Twitter feed, same day, call me a dirty Democrat, right? Same same day on Twitter, same Twitter. I go into the same handle. I only have one handle. I only have one account. So if anybody's paying attention to my profile or my timeline, they would have seen that I had a guy call me a Republican, I had a woman call me a Democrat. To which I explained to both of them, I don't consider myself either. I wouldn't even know how to qualify myself as a Republican or a Democrat. I have no idea what the Republicans believe in. What are their values? What are they, what are the things that they believe in? What do they pull for? What do they want to see? I don't same thing about Democrats. I have no idea. I have no idea how a Democrat thinks or feels, or any of that stuff. I just me personally, I don't know. Conservative, liberal, no idea. What does that mean? I have no idea. I just know how people treat me. That's it. I I only know how people treat me, how people treat my daughter, how people treat my son, my wife, my mom, my dad. That's all I know. That's all I put stock into is how people treat me and those I love. That's it. I don't care at all if you're a Republican. I don't care if you're a Democrat. Or I don't care if you're liberal or conservative, left or right. No idea what left and right means. No idea. And I'm not ashamed to admit it because I feel like I would have wasted a lot of years. I would have wasted a lot of time defending my side had I ever decided to be a Republican or a Democrat. Because that's just the competitive nature in me, right? But again, politics has gotten so far away from how people treat one another. It's gotten so far away from compassion, understanding, listening to hear a message rather than listening just to reply, which is a big problem on social media. Let me say that again. Not listening to understand, but listening to reply. It's a big problem in today's society. There are enough bumps in my road in life that I have to navigate over, find a way over, figure things out where I don't have time personally to dive into politics and try to understand what this side is trying to do, trying to understand what this side is trying to do. I just don't understand. I don't have time. I don't have time. And more importantly, I don't feel the need to put in the effort to try and figure it out. But I will say this since Trump started running for president, it kind of peaked. I had zero interest in it before. I had very little interest in it now, but that interest that I have in it now, all I've really changed about politics and how I see it is I just started paying attention. That's it. I just started paying attention to it. I started listening. I started watching, right? Listening to this guy speak, listening to this lady speak, listening to, you know, and I mean, the only really reason why that happened was because I remember Trump running for president in The Simpsons back in the day, right? And then he's running for president, and I'm like, holy crap, this is a Simpson episode. Let me take a look at this, right? So, what I've learned in the last 4.5 years, maybe 5 years, that I really started paying attention. And when I say I pay attention to politics, I'm not researching, I'm not studying, I'm not sitting in front of the TV watching any one of the news channels that all it is political talk all day long. All I do is pay attention to my Facebook feed, my Twitter timeline, maybe delve into an article here and there, you know, that type of deal. But one of the funniest things now that's happening to me, in my opinion, and what I'm seeing through my eyes is why people can't let President Trump go. Because I asked a question on Twitter today. First of all, I put out a statement that said, I see people are mad that Ted Cruz went to Cancun. Yet, why has President Biden not come to Texas to survey the damage that has been done himself? That's it. It was just a question. And it's an honest question because I honestly feel like, as the commander in chief, as the highest position in our country, as our president of the United States, I tried to think back and I tried to remember when a president in my lifetime, for as far as I could remember, did not show, did not put his boots on the ground where a natural disaster occurred, where a terroristic attack occurred. You know, major events in my lifetime that caused devastation, pain, death, and all out chaos. Has there ever been a time where a president did not go to that place? And again, I may be speaking of ignorance. I may be speaking of, lack of information because again, I've never really been political. I've never really been into politics. But has there ever been a president not show up? And in all honesty, um, I couldn't remember one. I couldn't remember a president not even Barack Obama flew over New Orleans immediately after Katrina. And I understand he couldn't put boots on the ground because it was underwater, right? It was underwater. And a lot of people feel a certain way about Barack Obama. That's their opinion. That's fine. That's okay. Um, President President Bush after 9/11 walked out in the Yankee Stadium to the pitcher's mound, threw out the first pitch after going to ground zero, and we all remember his speech and how it lifted morale and how it lifted the spirits of everybody there and around the country to see our president there. And no, I don't expect Joe Biden to come in here and start thawing pipes. I don't think that Joe Biden coming here really changes anything of the situation. What I think Joe Biden coming here, President Joe Biden coming here and doing is hopefully lifting the spirits of those who backed him. And I know we're not a state that voted for Biden, but there were, I think Trump won Texas. I know that. But the fact that there were people here that voted for Biden. There are people here like myself who are not real sure if I'll ever go into politics, and if I did, which which side am I going to choose? I don't think there will ever be a candidate worthy of my vote, um, because I will never ever pick the lesser of two evils. But who knows? One day a guy could come along. Hell, it could be Joe Biden, President Joe Biden. He could come here tomorrow, Saturday, Sunday, maybe just to be safe that everything's thought out. He could come down here. He could give a speech. He could tell us first and foremost what ERCOT has been doing over the last so many years or whatever. And I'm very familiar with ERCOT. Will no longer be the case. ERCOT will not choose money over humanity. And I believe what I've read and what I've heard about what was going on with ERCOT, I totally believe that they chose money over humanity. And that can't happen ever again. So, you know, is Joe Biden, President Biden coming here change really anything? I don't know. It doesn't change the fact that all of our pipes were busted, and it doesn't change the fact that there were absolutely horrific accidents on highways where hundreds, maybe possibly thousands, I don't know the numbers, of people were injured. Some died, some passed away. It doesn't change that. But the president of the United States making his presence known in an area that has suffered this past week. I mean, some people like myself would look at that and it would get the old Texas head nod. Like, okay, all right. There's nothing wrong with a leader in any situation at any time. There's nothing wrong with a leader stepping up and telling those he's supposedly leading, you're going to be okay. It's going to be okay. Yes, things may have happened where you hurt and you mourn and you're in pain, but understand that the great state of Texas and the United States of America are behind you 100%. There's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing bad could come of it unless, you know, unless he says something completely off the wall that's going to cause another argument. But I don't think anybody would ever argue a president saying, we're here for you. We're going to do what we need to do to make sure that everything is okay for everybody. There's nothing wrong with that. Even if you don't believe him, if you have half a soul, you're not going to get on social media and scream from the hilltops, he's lying. Don't believe him. You can't believe him. He's lying, Joe Biden. Nah. In a time like this, you know, some of us need encouragement. Some of us need to be reminded that as citizens of the United States, we are being looked out for and we are going to be taken care of. And again, I just posed the question, why hasn't he been here? And to circle back, the responses I got, like 90% of the responses I got that were basically in a state of argument, they were looking to fight. Um, they brought up Donald Trump, President Trump. And I couldn't understand it. And after that, I posed the question. I said, well, what does Donald Trump have to do with what's going on today? Donald Trump's not in government anymore. He's not president. He's no longer president. I mean, he's not even in Washington. He has nothing to do with politics. No one's going to call him up for advice because the hate for Donald Trump is far greater than needing him for anything ever, is what it appears like, you know? And I mean, I just don't understand why people or how people could still cling to the fact that they dislike Donald Trump that much. I mean, in all honesty, it's become an obsession to a lot of people. A lot of people are unknowingly, unaware, obsessed about the fact that Donald Trump was our president. It's unhealthy. It's unhealthy, and I'm again watching him run for president. It was hard for me to believe what he was saying, but it was hard for me to believe what Hillary was saying as well. Just like it was hard for me to believe what President Biden was saying. And it's just one of those things where the ground didn't feel safe enough to take that step into politics for me from what I was hearing and what I was saying. And as a guy who I'm not even really sure I wanna dive deeper than what I've already dove into it. I'm not sure I wanna do that. I don't wanna put that on myself because everywhere I go, I'm starting to realize that at some point along the line of whatever it is you're doing and whoever it is you're hanging out with and wherever y'all are at, the conversation is probably gonna turn political. And I would hate I would hate for it to have such a hold on me that I forgot that we were supposed to be out having a good time. We were supposed to be at the river with with the kids having a blast, but somebody brought up, you know, President Joe Biden. Somebody brought up Hillary Clinton. Somebody, brought up former President Trump. Somebody brought up, and then that completely consuming everything that we're doing and taking over and essentially ruining what was to be a great weekend or a great week or a great time doing something that we love to do. And, you know, my mom can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure in the Bible it says, I think it says before Christ returns, the devil will make a return or something like that, right? We'll see the mark of the beast or something. And in all honesty, if you're a religious person, even if you're not really religious, but you have belief, you have faith, and you have to ask yourself, like, is the devil already here? Because there are so many things that are taking us away from just being able to enjoy the people that we love. There are so many things here taking us away from the things that we are so passionate about, the things that we love doing, and the things that, you know, I mean, there's so many things to turn our attention from all of those things and to turn every situation into an argument or a debate or, talking about something that in the grand scheme of things, does it really matter? I mean, does it really matter? And I don't know if I'm unique or I'm naive or I'm ignorant. I don't know how I would label myself, but I couldn't even tell you how many presidents have been in office since I turned 18. I guess I could do the math on that, but it just politics has never shaped who I was, and it's never steered my drive on the path that I'm on in life. It's never affected me in any way, shape, or form. You know, even when like, hey, they're taking more taxes out, they're taking less taxes out, they're, you know, healthcare is going up, healthcare is going down, whatever's going on in life. I just always looked at it and approached it as, well, it's what we got to do to live, and maybe the government controls that aspect of our lives, but what the government doesn't control is how we live the rest of our life. And I just feel like once upon a time, it didn't matter where I went, it didn't matter who I was hanging out with, who I ran into, where I ran to them at. It was all love. Driving the streets of South Houston, Pasadena, Deer Park, LaPorte. I just never ever really felt like there was never a tension in the air. There was never anxiety. There was never anything to fear. There was never anything to worry about. Well, you were young, Manuel, and you didn't have very many responsibilities, and you were living life as a youngster. And that wasn't it. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about I never really felt like I walked into a situation where I had to worry about whether or not there was going to be a conversation over who's right and who's wrong. And half of the room is Democrats and half of the room is Republicans. Half of the room is conservatives, half of the room is liberals. But that's what it is now. That's what it is now. That's what society has become. and society has become, in a way, what happened to people minding their own business, right? I mean, what happened to people looking out for one another? What happened to people finding the good in people and maybe dealing with the bad? We all had those friends. We all have family members. We all have people in the same house we live in where there's just something about them. They have something, a trade or something that just gets on your nerves, and you just like, oh, it just rubs you and rubs you, but you let it go because you understand that that person is good. They're great. And they're the reason you love them because of everything they bring and everything they experience with you and everything, you know, like, you know, why can't we find the good in people anymore? And it's not even about finding the good in people, because now the majority of society is seeking out your fault. They're seeking out what's wrong with you because they would rather argue with you, and they would rather you know debate or point out your weakness or cancel culture instead of finding out what you have in common, you know instead of having a conversation and understanding that, hey, I've been through a lot of the same things you've been through. How did you cope with this? How'd you cope with that? How'd you do this? How'd you do that? Nah, man. When I joined Twitter 13 years ago, that's what it was on Twitter. Yo, you're an Astro fan. I'm an Astro fan. Oh, you're a Cowboys fan. I'm a Texan fan. But we're both Astros fans. Cool. We talk Astros. I don't want to talk about the Cowboys. The Cowboys suck. You're dumb for being a Cowboy fan, but you're cool. I like you. You're an Astros fan. I found the good in you, even though you have some bad things going on, some questionable things going on. And it's what it's become, man. My dad is the type of guy who's never met a stranger, right? Everyone he meets is a friend of his. Everyone he meets, he greets and respects, and to some degree, he's gonna love you, until you give him reason not to. And for so long, that's how I lived my life. I wanted to never meet a stranger, right? I wanted to be respectful and to everyone I came across. I wanted everyone I met to be my friend. But now I'm not even given the chance, you know? Now I can approach someone the same way I would approach somebody, a stranger 10 years ago. I can be at a restaurant waiting for a table. Someone else could be waiting for a table. And 10 years ago, I'd be able to strike up a conversation, figure out what they're into, talk about that, laugh. Hey, enjoy your dinner. It was nice meeting you. Have a good evening. Now that I don't even think I can do that now, simply because I'm afraid I might say something that goes against their beliefs, or I may say something that they don't agree with, and that friendly conversation, that friendly little, I guess, chat that we're having before we go get seated turns into a debate, and now this guy's over here, calling me a dumbass Republican when I'm not. And I'm like, well, that guy didn't have to take it there. Why do you have to make it political? You know what I'm saying? So it's difficult, man. And a lot's changed and a lot's different. And, I was watching Joe Rogan's podcast. I'm a big fan of Joe Rogan's podcast. People have opinions about Joe Rogan, which is fine. I listen to Joe Rogan because I've been a fan of Rogan for about 20 years now. Um, I was a fan when the UFC started and he started commentating for him. And then once he got into stand up and he started making his rounds, I've probably seen Rogan perform 6 or 7 times. And I love the guy. He's amazing. His comedy's amazing. His podcast is amazing. The guest he has on is incredible. Obviously, as a podcaster, he's part of the reason why I started one myself. Um, so I watch him a lot. Well, he's got a lot of interesting guests on. He had one of the Navy SEALs on with him that actually was involved in the raid on Bin Laden. And it's a great episode. I can't remember the episode number, but if you search Joe Rogan on Spotify, put in Joe Rogan Navy SEAL to bring it up, you can watch the episode. Anyway, you know, they were talking about 9/11. And he said something that was so like he said something that made me not only feel really, really emotional. Because if you didn't know, I was overseas serving in the Air Force on 9/11. Um, that story, it's my story. Um, and at the end of it all, this Navy SEAL tells Joe, he said, Joe, look, as awful as 9/11 was, as terrible as it was, and as tragic as it was, he said, I wake up every day hoping that day is September 12th, 2001. Says he wakes up every day hoping that that day will feel like September 12th, 2001. And he said, because people were nice to each other, people were willing to help each other, people were no longer passing judgment, people were not judging people on the color of their skin, the religion that they believed in. It was all about us being Americans and pulling together and getting through a horrible situation. And that was, I heard that and thought how brilliant that was. And in these days, and the days that we live in now, I feel the same way. I I hope every day is like September 12th, 2001, you know, because at some point, right? Some point something has to happen for all of us to put our differences aside and come back together and really start living like decent human beings again. Like decent human beings who, instead of pulling out a phone to record a fight, walking over there and breaking up the fight. You know what I'm saying? Or in a tragic situation, instead of pulling out our phone and documenting what's going on, you run over there to see if anyone needs help and be there to lend a helping hand. You know, and I don't know, because I think of Jenna and I think of Joseph, and I have serious, serious questions about whether or not that's possible. And I feel like as a father, the only thing I can do is surround them with people that I know will help me guide them into a life like that when they leave here, when they go to college, and when they graduate college, you know. And I just hope that one day, I hope one day it all turns around and it gets better, and that we're there for one another, and that we worry about our neighbor, and we make sure our neighbors are safe before we jump in an argument over a senator or a president. I don't know. Maybe it can be that one day again, or maybe it's gonna get worse. I mean, I did have an uncle one day I had an uncle one day at a softball tournament where I showed up hungover for an 8 o'clock game, late, showed up like 8:05. Said, "Well, it's gonna get a whole lot worse today before it gets better." And I hope that's not the case. I hope that's not the case for all of us. So, everybody, hope everybody's warm tonight. I hope everybody's belly's full, and I hope we all got through this maybe with a new sense of appreciation for the little things, such as power and running water. And I really hope people took the time this week to kind of reset their minds, even though it was stressful and it sucked that we didn't have water. You know, I hope everybody got to reset and rest, get some rest, and like I said, help your plumbers out. If you can clean up a mess before they get there, help them out. Help them help you. Look out for our plumbers. Um, Al's Plumbing here in Pearland again. Give them a shout out. Google them. They're on Facebook. Um, and just remember, like sometimes we got to take it on the chin. And as Texans, we're more than capable of doing that. Taking it on the chin, bouncing back, and returning to life as normal. Hopefully, with the renewed appreciation for maybe things that we took for granted before something crazy like this happened, right? Um, but I just want to say good luck to everybody who is out there needing repairs. I hope it all goes well. I hope your insurance doesn't play around with you. I hope they do what they're supposed to do, and everything gets fixed for you guys. Um, and hopefully, starting this weekend, the weather starts turning around. We get sunshine, and hopefully by Tuesday we have our ACs on because it's going to be like in the high 70s or something. I don't know, but try to do nice for someone tomorrow. Try to do something nice for someone tomorrow, and not someone maybe somebody random. Maybe hold the door open at the grocery store. You know, somebody drops something. Maybe you're there to pick it up for them. You know, maybe just say hello. And I know that's changed a lot considering we have to wear masks now. Like I know I've said hello to some people that I don't think they heard me because of the mask. It's okay. Say hello anyway. Give them the nod. What's up? What's up? How you doing? Let's be nice to each other. Let's help those in need. And let's all have a good Friday and a better weekend. And like I said, be warm tonight. Watch your water tonight. The temperature's gonna get down to the 20s again. And hopefully we come through this better than we were before. And on that note, I'm gonna say good night. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate it. Look out for more of these to come. Hopefully, I'll have a guest or two in the other mics, sitting in the other chairs on the other mics. And hopefully, we can get this podcast thing going back again and create the momentum that we had before. To that, I say good night. It's Manuel signing off from the Nosebleeds. And I hope everybody's warm. Hope everybody's fed. Hope everybody's safe. Y'all have a good one.